Try your hardest, set the bar where it lies just out of my reach. Stuttered words and slurry speech. Flip the light on, settle down, cause I've got some things to say to you. Hope I don't sound dumb. We could be the next big thing. Where nobody can hear us. Electric display for red and elegant terrain. We can skip around there. Where nobody can hear us. I'm a psychopath, on my way down to mess up your Lego sets. Mix the blues and hide the rest. That's me and nobody, cause they tell me what to say. Why are you so caught up in the moment? Just take a glance at all the possibilities. Here's what could go wrong. You could chip the paint or wrap it in my sweater. Best just make sure I stay warm. I can tell already that you'll falter and leave me behind. We can strike a deal if you sign on the X. Just have your way as long as you stay. So what's the rush? What's the outcome of my hand? I'll say when you put it that way, there's so many things that go through for you.
Many years ago I tried to stoke the flame and fight. I guess some space is wise, but hold it all inside. You find comfort in your tears, think that love is like your fear. I think love is just a dance. You don't know the difference. So get fucked. Oh no, just another sacrifice. You can try real hard if you wanna, but you're never gonna make it right. Get fucked, get lost. Just another empty cause. You can cry and cry, but you gotta find another star to cross. Many years ago I said I won't mourn and I won't beg. I've been trying to show you my true face, the one I make when I masturbate. Hope you turn into something you can't stay. When I see you again, I won't hold your hand. All my life, I tried to find someone who'd see me like I'd seen right through another person's eyes. All my life, I tried to beg, won't you come over, baby, over, we can break the bed. You could write my head, maybe kiss instead. All I do is beg, can we break the bed?
What are your words? If there was a letterbox for that, you get a fucking half star.
I've been trying to show you my true self, the one who sits on the bottom shelf. Hope I turn into something you can't resist. When you listen to that one song, hope it makes you pissed. All my life, I tried to be someone you tie right to your bed frame.
Little bit of intro on this one. Just kidding. When the rap says Ben Shapiro, don't be the snow, this is absolute zero. The hero of the villain, somehow you're fucking chillin'. You're by the stove and grillin', just let me cook. Got my teeth all crook, got my eyes all red. Play by no one's book, it's all in my head. Level like a brook, make it till I'm red. I am not a crook like the bad man said. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Ay, ay. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Ay, ay. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Oh, oh. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Ay, I'm a swaggin', draggin', also I'm haggin', want someone braggin'. Used to be a has-been, grabbing dollars by the pound, by the yen, by the shekel for the wagon. All the grain I rake when I heckle for the wagon. $50,000 I imagine a month when I bet on my hunch. I'm a bag bitch green and I carry that green, so you know that I mean when I sing when I'm gagging. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Hey, hey. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Hey, hey. They hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Hey, they hate cause I'm a chick with a dick, but they love me when it's all on their lips. Oh!
All right, y'all know that I finally got paid the $1,800 that you all made me last month through Super Chats, and I immediately went grocery shopping. I spent $101 at the Aldi, so let's see what all I got. Mini bagels, cinnamon raisin, those are for Bird, whereas for me, I got the everything bagels, full size. Bird tends to like little snacks in large numbers, and he likes cinnamon, and I like everything flavor. He's not a big fan. I got some hummus crisps. These are specifically for eating the roasted garlic hummus. Best flavor for cheap hummus. I forgot to bring any bags, so I'll just bag all this shit when I get home. Oh, it looks like I squished my bread a little bit. The artisanal style bread. I got that for myself to make sandwiches at home. Because Bird always eats at work. Got some, wavy potato chips, some hamburger buns, bananas for me, 5 tomatoes. Then we've got a box of rice squares. My favorite cereal is any form of rice square. I'm also a big fan of the extra toasty Cheez-Its. I have not tried this off-brand version yet, but I'm excited that they're doing extra toasty. I got myself a nice box of wine because I figured that would last longer than beer and have more alcohol content. We go through beer a little too quickly, but I also got some beer, some IPA just because it had a higher alcohol than anything else. Milk, vitamin D milk, always. We got some great for fajitas, top steak Angus beef, and some burgers, hence the buns. They only sell those particular buns in a 6-pack for whatever reason. Big Summit Cola, because it's way cheaper than Diet Coke, especially at Aldi. I got one of these frozen pizzas that are like $5. I've never tried that brand as far as I know, so I'm just curious about it. Bag of peppers. Some conditioner because we ran out. Onions. And what do you know? Tortillas. It's almost like I got all the ingredients to make fajitas and burgers and sandwiches myself, such as this honey turkey breast. Looks pretty good. Sounds pretty good. I got a pork loin and a gigantic bag of russet potatoes. In part because my mom is planning to make a shepherd's pie for Bird's birthday in lieu of a cake. There you go. That's $101 at Aldi in 2024, late June. All right, y'all.
Okay. Successful self-audit. Good thing I played all those clips before I realized my microphone wasn't plugged in. Now it should sound good. All right. Audio. 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 We'll just let that happen. Audio. 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 We'll just let that happen. Audio. 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 We'll just let that happen. Audio. 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 We'll just let that happen. Audio. Audio.
Chasing out the air to make your love face new. Nothing makes you understand.
The reason you were watching me do my groceries is that I've been doing a self-audit of all money I spend. Because I make all of my money through these live streams. So I want you to know where your money is going. And I also want to turn everything I spend into a tax break because it's all part of my job. So as long as everything I spend money on, I talk about having spent that money. You know, I make it all part of the content, then it all is part of the content, you know? It also makes it easier for me to track my own spending because historically when I've done my taxes, I've just gone, I never save my receipts, so I would go back through my bank, look at all of the things, and then try to figure out what did I buy there, because it doesn't say specifically what I bought in my bank account. So I would like go and I'd spend all day like trying to fucking puzzle back through like, okay, what was I doing on June 16th? You know, like I've got a pretty good memory. It's difficult. So, with this, it's like I literally know exactly what I spent where. And I know that I talked about every single thing I spent money on. A couple of things I forgot to account for on my last, earlier today I did an audit. And talked about some clothes I bought and some tea and shit. I forgot to mention going last night with John to get beer. That cost like $27 because he wanted to get local shit. It was good, but it was a little more expensive. And then we got 2 6-packs at that price. And then I bought weed for both me and John, and he paid for me and Bird's dinner in return. So I spent $160 to buy myself a 3-gram vape and to get him his shit. And then he paid for me and Bird's $50 worth of Mexican food. Because we both got margaritas. And yeah. So I would say that was a very fun tax night. I definitely spent some money on having fun with a friend. So now I've got like $1,400 or something like that, and I will probably be under 1,000 by the end of the weekend because we're going to too many games this weekend up in Philadelphia. Bird and I travel really cheap. His dad already paid for the hotel for us, which was very nice of him because he lives nearby. We were like, let us stay with you. And he was like, actually, it's my wife's birthday weekend and we're like doing stuff, but I'll pay for your hotel. We were like, okay, whatever, dude. So we've got a hotel already paid for. I've already paid for the campsite for Wednesday night when we're taking off, and that was only $20. And yeah, I'm literally tracking all of my spending through the live streams. Bully, 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 bully. I got to make you all work harder. For me, I got to make you all work for me, because not all of you can afford to pay me, but you can definitely do something for me. But I have to be a good boss. I can't just expect you to figure out what you can do for me. I have to figure out what you can do for me. So I have to interrogate everybody who shows up to my streams to figure out what you can do. Some of you I've already put to action. I mean, plenty of all the producers, obviously every music producer I work with, I already get a lot out of you. So, you know, just keep on keeping on. You're probably waiting on me. You know, you're waiting on me to get you stuff, because I don't make enough money doing music to put more time into it, or enough money doing whatever else I do to have time to put into something that doesn't make me any money. But am I watching stuff for cash this stream? Sure, we can do that. Maybe he says I'm very good at being a narcissist. See, that's good. Both of us are on a wavelength of that. I think, well, you and I play off of each other well because you're also a good writer, and just in the sense of a rising tide raises all ships, I could get to read your stuff on stream, and your stuff is good, you know. And so if you grow and people want to follow you and they know you because you're part of my universe, all of your growth will trickle back to me. You know, you can be like what I was for Dick Masterson, of like just like the champion fan who knows everything but is like also successful enough in their own right that their fans come back to like the source, you know, the source of the power. I'm not saying I'm the source of all your power, Amy, obviously. I just mean in the sense of like clout on the internet. If I can make your writing popular. Cosmic Blue with $5 says, why am I unbullying? Why did I apologize? I bullied and then made it not as much of a bully. This is the I'm bullying you stream. Fuck you, Amy. I'm a better writer. Bird can say whatever he wants about you being a better anime analysis than me. I say it's all memes. Cosmic Blue with $5. Fire, earth, water, air are the worldly elements. What would their spiritual counterparts be? Online, I found energy, inertia, cohesion, and vibration. Huh. Spiritual elements. Okay, so luckily, Kusomega kind of toys around with this idea. I cannot remember. Prove it, you coward. What anime analysis do you have that you need me to compare my best versus your best? We can go best for best and see what people think. I don't know how to judge it. I guess it would only matter if I thought your stuff was better than mine. I felt that way, you know, at times. I've read people's work and thought this is better than anything I've done. Noah Caldwell Gervais has written a few videos that are better than any videos I've made. Matthew Matosis has written a few videos that are better than anything I've made. You know, these are my peers. These are people my age writing in the same genre who started at the same time. Oh my God, Bird's already home. Hello.
Here to be bullied.
Bully.
I'm being bullied.
Knock it.
Oh, no.
Bully. No, wait. I bullied too hard.
Hello.
Hold on. Do you want to help me bully?
No, not particularly. I'm gonna cook.
Yeah, it's really hot out here. Oh, you're going to cook? What are you going to make?
Probably the pork.
Not the fajitas.
No, I was probably
Okay.
gonna make those tomorrow camping.
Ooh. And then burgers.
We ate burgers.
We'd already ate. Oh, you're right. We did already eat the burgers. I forgot about that. They were good burgers. They were very good burgers. I just showed all that food. Oh, he's already gone. Anyway. Ooh, that's going to be delicious because last time we had that pork, it was phenomenal. So I'm excited. He'll probably do some crazy shit like smoke it or something. I don't know why I forgot he was getting home soon. My mental clock is entirely devoted to when does the office free up that I can sit in a chair and do live stream all day. All right, so Yeah, Cosmic Blue doesn't like their proposition that of the of a lot of people are giving their suggestions: plague on humanity, indulgence, composure, logic, faith. Interesting. I guess it's hard for me when the terms are as vague as these. It's really difficult for me to imagine like what exactly you mean by that, or like sometimes even how those words are necessarily that different. You know, like, but in Kusomega, there's like a few. Because there's a bunch of elements. There's like something like 12 or 13 or 14 schools of magic, maybe even 16. I don't remember. But some of them are like deliberately on the spiritual side. I think one of them is literally spirit magic, which is basically calling to the very core aspects of life that are a part of all life. So to me, like in that sense, spirit means like, well, I'm thinking of, okay, when I think the word spirit, I think of the System of a Down song where Serge is going, spirit moves through all things, spirit moves through all things, spirit moves through all things. And to me, my closest thing to a conception of God is just the interconnectedness of all things. Like knowing that like the atoms that comprise your body are constantly like leaving and new ones are coming in, and like you're basically literally becoming your scenery all the time. You know, you're eating other stuff and then becoming through your waste other things, and like so innately it's all tied in a tapestry, and that to me is spirit, is the recognition of the flow between all of life. And that spark comes from somewhere, I guess, in the cell. I don't know how a cell forms. I don't know when it becomes officially life, but when there's a cell, you got life. And that metaphor applies on so many different levels, like even creatively, like, you know, you're trying to make something, you need like a cell of people, like a supercell, like Supercell, the group. You know, you need something like that to make to then propagate, bring in more cells, develop a life form. Yeah, Leaf Lady, I saw your super chat. I'm still answering the one before it though, because it's a complicated question, a very what's the word I'm looking for? Philosophical question, which philosophy. Okay, you said, I guess I asked wrong. What are physical explanations that are also spiritual in a way, like energy? I'm fine with energy and fire being related magically. Okay. So, like, physical spirituality. You're asking, whatever you have in mind as the answer to this, you could probably write a whole thesis about this that might make it easier for me to understand where you're coming from. These aren't the kind of things I think about. I don't think about this kind of stuff normally, about like the elements and how they would compare to spiritual aspects of my physical self. I have lately been thinking about like the Holy Trinity, and like thinking about Evangelion versus Serial Experiments Lane, and how Ava is all about like, you know, Western Trinity thinking, whereas Lane is all about, like, as a response to Ava, Eastern dualism, and like wondering which one. Like I've come to more think of the Trinity as like the proper shape, you know, mind, body, and well, I just think of it as two different parts of like logic, emotion, and body, you know. But it's probably more healthy to think of yourself as just like literally all of the cells comprising you, you know. Like if you get a piece of body damage or whatever, like it affects your mind, it affects your logic, it affects your ability to do all of the stuff. So like every cell matters. So trying to break it down into like these categories broadly, I don't know. I think you should view yourself as a community of atoms. Okay, let's get to the thing Leaf Blade's talking about, because I hate philosophy. I hate that the answers never come. You just kind of say words that sound nice and go in circles all day. But I don't know. To me, it feels indulgent in a way that isn't progressive to like living your life better necessarily. Goku doesn't belong here by Mr. Future. Okay. All right. You really have been dedicated to having me react to this guy's Dragon Ball Z takes. All right, I don't want to get copyrighted by the music.
Did you notice that the armor that Kuririn's wearing has special properties other than just being really stretchy? It has the power to spontaneously and frequently change color. Vegeta's new armor has the ability to regrow shoulder pads when he feels it would be more fashionable. And did you know that if Namekians are returned from the dead, they have to give up the patches on their lower legs? As far as deals with the devil go, you could do worse, especially if you were the devil at one point in your life. So the mighty Frieza, strongest of the strong, has finally
I like the way he. So I know he always kind of opens by doing a little bit of like, here's what they did wrong, in this issue. And sometimes I haven't enjoyed it. I liked it that time because it felt funny and like he wasn't accusing it. It's just kind of like an audit of like, all right, up front, let's just take account. There's a few funny little drawing, mistakes. This is what happens when you're writing 20 pages every
muscles
week
against our characters, and he's managed to kill one non-combatant child. And I feel like I'm supposed to talk about Dende's death, but to be honest, it really doesn't do anything for me. I felt sorrier for Dende when Cargo was killed. Here it's really just a...
I do wish he would have said that, though. Like, I wish he would say, after pointing out the mistakes, like, just once again. I know it gets redundant to have to say it every time, but just like to remind everybody, this isn't to... I hope he feels this way. I hope that he doesn't think that these, like, make the manga worse. It's like, it probably wouldn't have been possible to try and actually draw all of this and make sure it all made sense down to the detail in the time allotted for the crew that was doing it. They weren't able to do that, and that's very reasonable.
Point that's glossed over. The larger implication is simply that Frieza bypassed the rules of the Space Geneva Convention by killing a medic, and without the good guys having a medic, Frieza might actually be able to do some legitimate damage to them. Clearly, this is a fighting prodigy. I mean, toying with your food is one thing, but Frieza hasn't exactly managed to instill much fear up until now. But the advantage of moving past all...
Somehow, just the way he said that made me think of Yoda sensed in him much fear. All right, I'm going to plug this thing in right over there for a second.
all these worthless forms into his final form means we might actually get some stakes here. Vegeta, believing he's a Super Saiyan, makes his move against Frieza, but it still isn't enough. And in the midst of all he's been through, all the scheming, all the plotting, all the risk of death, Vegeta finally breaks. He's still no match for Frieza. He breaks down and cries and can no longer even bring himself to fight back
Damn,
when Frieza
he
savagely
straight up
tears
cries.
into him. It was inevitable, really. Without the Dragon Balls, Vegeta could only outrun Frieza for so long. He rebelled, and now he must pay. It's a natural conclusion to this storyline that Vegeta...
I just got to say, that's the kind of thing that makes this story good, is like, he doesn't present these tough guys as being the way they see themselves. He's presenting them like the way they are. Like, yeah, Vegeta is fucking... If he was in this situation, he would fucking weep, you know? He probably hates that about himself, but that's what makes him an interesting character.
He would bank everything on this one last gamble only to finally have his risk-taking blow up in his face, and it finally injects some real emotion into this relatively lifeless fight. But the one thing that detracts from this is, ironically after all the time wasted earlier, Vegeta gives up way too quickly. I'm not exaggerating when I say he attempts to fight twice. That's it.
I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I'm a fucking idiot, you know? Like, at some point, you just got to be like, that guy's stronger than me. I don't know what the fuck to do, you know? My body, I would assume on a physical level, when you have recognized a threat to that extent, your body won't let you do anything. Like, it would probably just be like, bro, you're going to die. Like, sorry, it's over. You know, have some rest before you go.
2 times. He tries to strike Frieza, and then he launches a Ki Blast at Frieza, and that's all it takes for Vegeta to give up. That seems a bit too easy to me, especially considering he does this before Frieza even hits him. Vegeta in this arc has been like the evil version of Captain Kirk.
Okay,
he
well, the fact that he hadn't
finds
even
a way
been...
to overcome the...
I mean, I get thinking, well, he hasn't even been hit, but Vegeta's probably thinking, if I get hit once, I die. Like, that's the conclusion he's come to, is like, I'm at such a lower level than this dude that if I even try any harder, like, I'm just going to get killed. I think that's what's supposed to be going through Vegeta's head here.
No-win scenario. He tricks Death. He cheats Death. Vegeta has been a wounded captive in Frieza's ship and still managed to outfox his jailers. He was at the mercy of Zarbon and Raccoon, yet still managed to pull out one dirty trick after another. Anything to keep himself alive. Hey, don't misunderstand. I love the idea of Vegeta finally breaking after all he's been through. But I don't buy that he'd give up after barely trying, even if it is Frieza, even if he does.
I just think he would be
Saiyan.
that afraid.
Piccolo
that
spent more time
one
fighting
shot
Frieza
is
for
enough.
crying out loud, and that's a fight you could just skip over and not realize.
Yeah, Piccolo probably doesn't recognize that. Also, he's not fighting the same form, it looks like. But like, so it wasn't as much of a threat, you know, that could be sensed. But also, does Piccolo have the... Piccolo's the guy who's basically been given a second chance at life because he was at the mercy of someone stronger than him before. So as far as he's concerned, his life is now kind of like in Goku's hands and in the hands of like trying to do something good. Vegeta is not at that point. You know, he's a bad guy still.
You missed anything. I don't know. I guess I just feel that a character whose arc has been pushing towards this confrontation for over a year of the story deserves more panel space than the guy who just showed up out of nowhere. Then there's the fact that the random bit of narration explaining how Vegeta feels is just awkward. I mean, why is there narration all of a sudden? I don't...
Hi, we're Visible.
Oh, Jesus
the wireless
fucking
company that
Christ. I
makes
should have
things
opened this in
visible.
fucking Brave.
With us, what you see is what...
Whatever. You get an
But
ad.
before the beating can reach its foregone conclusion, Goku is officially healed. Because the machine said so, I guess. I wonder if he would have felt appreciably different if he had left 5 minutes earlier. Does Goku not know when he feels alright? Does he need the machine to tell him? And how does the machine know? I mean, earlier it looked like the doctors were keeping track of the person's vitals, so that's how they knew. Whatever. I already have far too much to talk about today to devote that much time to this. Like how Goku apparently thinks doors are for losers. Oh, whoops, out of time. Gotta move on. Goku arrives for the casually walking past his friends while declaring he'll take on the bad guy by himself part of the story. Again. And it's clear he has an edge on the others, being able to effortlessly deflect Frieza's fingertip death blasts. But in a subversion of the trope that Goku comes to save everybody, when Vegeta brags that Goku has become a Super Saiyan, Frieza blasts him through the heart. Vegeta insists that Frieza be defeated at the hands of a Saiyan and dies, with Goku honoring him as a worthy adversary by digging him a grave right then and there. Heck, he didn't even do that for his friends. Like Piccolo's death in the Saiyan arc, Vegeta's death here serves as a perfect conclusion to his character's journey. But unlike
Because
Piccolo, it's
Goku
not
only
the story of
respects strength. He only respects that guy because he's strong.
an evil man
I
finding
don't
the
know.
good in him, able to die happy through what he's become.
Maybe he's just like, oh
because
shit,
stories
that's
don't always
like
have endings like
one
that.
of my people.
Sometimes you're full of fire and vigor to change your lot in life, defiantly confronting your tyrant, only for him to kill you with barely a second's thought. And yet it's really no less than you deserve after all the suffering you've caused. Come to think of it, Toei's Bardock story really preempted Toriyama's take on the same kind of character arc, didn't it? Well, I'm sure they'll never beat Toriyama out the door to a concept ever again. They even both pin their last hopes on Goku defeating Frieza, don't they? Vegeta is astonished and
Wait,
aggravated
so
when
is he saying that the Bardock anime thing happened before this happened in the manga?
he first assumes Goku is a Super Saiyan. He deals with it by then declaring that he is a Super Saiyan, claiming Goku is too soft to become one. He repeats this assertion here, but now he wants Goku to overcome what he sees as that flaw. This low-class piece of trash is now his only hope. He won't be able to achieve the goal on his own, and he's historically been a person who prefers to work alone, only tolerating teammates as long as they're useful, but quick to abandon them when it suits his purpose. Now, relying on Goku, the person he'd least want to rely on, is the only way to get what he wants, even if it's only a vicarious victory. And so Vegeta passes the baton to Goku.
Okay, so confirming with Leaf Blade, it did indeed happen that way. That is pretty funny. Especially if they knew about it. Like if he had told them that this was going to happen and then they just like wrote that into Bardock. I just want to acknowledge this Canadian $50 super chat from Elios. Thank you. Just caught up with the change for the most of it, kinda. Glad to see you still making stuff related to anime. I haven't seen your stuff since 2014. I don't know why YouTube just didn't put your stuff in my recommendation until now when you stream. I'm very suppressed on YouTube, but the way I understand it is that YouTube basically just selects like a pretty random handful of people to show a piece of content to. So like basically you like if I put out a video, it will take 10% of my audience. And there are some people who are so engaged that they always get it. Like if you're somebody who's always clicked every video I've ever done, you're always going to get every video that I make. That has been a continually dwindling number of people, you know. There are maybe 10 people who are in every live stream that I do, you know, but if not enough of the, you know, besides the regulars, if not enough of the 10% of the random people that it sends it to click on it, it does not send it any further through my subscriptions. It never reaches the like people who don't usually click, you know, unless they get selected kind of randomly in like the, you know, the extra dice roll percentage or whatever that YouTube tries. So that's why I try to put out as much content as possible, because every single time I'm rolling the dice that somebody who didn't know I've been putting out content the whole time will like find out and then go, oh shit, you know. At some point I really need to build myself a permanent home outside of YouTube that can't be fucked with, but there's just nothing that is at the same level of convenience that YouTube has for doing it like this. Twitch could end up being more of a streaming home if my Twitch takes off, and especially if YouTube keeps taking my streams down like happened last night. That was really heinous. It made me a lot more afraid than I've been, because I've had, again, streams taken down for copyright issues, but I could then edit it out and the stream stayed. That did not happen last night. Watching Hell of a Boss get that stream erased entirely from YouTube. It does not have any evidence of ever having existed. And I'm really worried that YouTube just simply pocketed the super chat money from that stream. So, you know, it'll be a while before I can actually make money directly through Twitch. But if it works out that that's the better platform, maybe I'll end up streaming there more than YouTube. We'll find out as the future unfolds before me, step by step, starting with Leaf Blady paying me to watch Dragon Ball Z analysis videos. I'm glad that this one, at least I've seen the Frieza arc enough that I'm like mentally able to be in this part of the story and kind of like answer for what he's saying.
The only problem, though, is that Goku in this arc is like Piccolo in this arc. This story isn't about him, and it hasn't been about him. The main characters of the Frieza arc are Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta. It looked at first like it might be about Bulma too, but I think we can all agree Toriyama not only dropped the ball, but dropped it down a flight of stairs.
I see, and this is the kind of stuff where I don't know if I can blame Toriyama, because we've gotten to the point where Dragon Ball Z is an industry already at this point. You know, where like Dragon Ball was supposed to be the end. So everything after Dragon Ball, in my mind, is like the editors are like really the editors, the assistants, like everybody around Toriyama is helping him to make this possible. They're all trying to steer this ship together, and the numbers are definitely being poured over. And if they do a bunch of chapters without Goku and Dragon Ball is less popular because of it, they're going to say we have to write Goku back in. You know, if you do a Bulma chapter and everyone hates it or whatever, you know, or people just don't like the arc that he's come up with for that character, and, you know, interest is waning, you got to change the arc. Like, you got to keep Frieza, but you got to dump whatever Piccolo's doing, you know, if it's not working. And if it does work, you're going to expand on it, right? So, like, obviously the Ginyu Force is a part that really worked. And so the Ginyu Force got a lot of attention because people reacted well to it. But there's parts where it starts to feel like maybe you're setting up for something and then just kind of forget about that. We had a better idea, you know? They had to put out 20 pages every fucking week. It's total art of process, you know?
On the edge of a roof, of a skyscraper. But it's their stories you've been following this whole time, not Goku's. Goku has just been the guy in a spaceship or the guy in a healing capsule waiting for his chance to show up and save the day. That's Goku's only role here. And that's not a character. It's a plot device. I mean, there is a reason I decided to only put Goku in the back end of the intro for this arc. At least Goku has the edge over Piccolo in that he'll be the focus from this point on. He'll be the one to actually defeat Frieza here rather than show up, do nothing useful, then stand around in the background.
Yeah, Ellen pointed out Vegeta also probably has a lot of trauma related to Frieza. Like, he knows this guy killed all of his people. So, like, on just a raw instinctive level, he's the most, like, closest thing to a natural threat that he's ever encountered, you know? It's like literally like being a mouse in the face of a falcon, knowing you're about to die.
Problem here is the same problem I saw with forcing Goku back into a non-active role after the Ginyu fight. It's the story pushing Goku back into the same role of last-minute savior, but without any regard to how he fits into this story. This has long been Goku's role, but let's take a look at how the other arcs that did this handled it. In the Piccolo arc, and yes, try not to faint, I'm using the Piccolo arc as a positive example. In the Piccolo arc, Goku spends the entirety of it separated from his friends so that he can show up at the last minute and save Ten Shinhan from being killed. The difference is, he's never removed from the story. He has his own adventures, his own battles, his own interactions, his own struggles. They just happen to be separate from the other main characters so that his reveal later on to them is meaningful. And then
that one, Lucario fan, it's much sadder than you think. Last night's stream was a whole 2 hours long and it was lost to time. We had 2 chairs set up. It was, well, you can't see them. Behind me, there's 2 chairs that we had like pulled up. So it was like a talk show setup almost. And, you know, I was talking to John, introducing him to the chat. You know, we had beers. We were having a fun time. Jeff kept paying us to watch like Final Fantasy 14 fan songs, I guess. I wasn't entirely clear what they were, if I'm being honest, but they had lyric videos, and we kept like comparing them to other bands and listening to some of those bands and stuff. We found out Amy Talks Annie is a big Encifrum fan somehow. And then we watched various Hell of a Boss shorts, and John hadn't seen any of Hell of a Boss. So we were like, oh, let's watch the first episode. I've watched so many independent animations on my computer stream, forgetting that Hell of a Boss is like actually owned by like a major media company. So yeah, it got erased. It got whole ass erased. It got fully removed. It got eradicated. Anyway.
take the Saiyan arc. Unlike the Piccolo arc, Goku isn't given a huge amount to do.
Those are the actual boss themes in the game, like with the vocals and everything, with those lyrics. That's hilarious. Like in English. I mean, that's epic. It's also really funny. I would have loved man, as a teenager, I really wanted MMOs to be everything that they became, like shortly after I was too old to like. If I had had like a truly great action MMO game to play when I was like in high school, it probably would have been more fun than being miserable all the time and occasionally watching anime. But, you know, looking at it now, I'm like, well, I would be miserable all the time if all I was doing was playing an MMO. So that ship has sailed for me.
As I made fun of then, he just runs across a featureless road for half a year. But even then, he isn't removed from the story because everything connects to him. Raditz
Also, Amy, I'm sad to say I don't know the specific song that you seem to like so much because I've only really listened to the first two Ensiferum albums from their original singer like that many times. They have some good songs on their other albums, but none of them hits all the way through, I think, the way that Ensiferum. I mean, particularly their self-titled is by far the best. Like Iron has like half and half god tier songs and totally forgettable stuff. But I have not spent as much time with their other albums, so I will check out that song because I'm sure that song is cool. But
comes to Earth because of Goku. His actions to save his son gets himself killed that ends up serving as the impetus for the other Saiyans to come to Earth. Nappa and Vegeta stage their massacre of the others in part to punish the traitor Kakaroto. So even when he isn't present, all narrative threads lead back to him, so it makes sense for him to be the character to engage in the final showdown, beyond simply that he's the strongest character and the main character overall. Honestly, the series as a whole really doesn't know what to do with Goku from this point on. He's largely just the guy who comes in at the last moment to save everyone. In future arcs, it will still be in play, although there will be a few twists on it. Here it's not only played completely straight, but divorced from the kinds of context the Piccolo and Saiyan arcs used, it is redundant and nothing but a shell. It's just dusting off the old trope and putting it back into play, ignoring the elements that made it work.
yeah, see, this is the kind of stuff that it really does feel like he's looking for problems. Like he's trying to look at the story through a lens of how you can complain about it, almost. And I'm like, none of these things bother me. Like what you're talking about with the reusing tropes or whatever. Like to me, a story is supposed to have a certain identity. You know, it's meant to keep kind of delivering the same type of thing that thematically relates to the core of the story. Now, personally, I'm not usually the biggest fan of super long running stories anyways. I like shorts. You know, I'll watch a fucking music video and get the point in the first 3 seconds and feel like, all right, this is cool. You know, I like tweets. But if you're gonna do something extremely long, like the point of it should be to keep elaborating on that central theme, those central ideas, you know. So yeah, there's going to be some reuse of tropes. Like that's kind of, I don't know, it's almost the point to me of Dragon Ball is that it does this kind of does the same formula, you know, but with like a feeling of growth where it's like, but it's even more complicated this time, you know,
in the past. And shoving Goku into a closet and only pulling him out when it's necessary to create drama is not only a disservice to Goku, but to the rest of the cast, who ultimately only exist to fail until Goku shows up to save them. Goku's non-role in the story up to now is best illustrated by 2 points. One is just how casually Goku and...
Oh yeah, that one, the Karia fan. I went back over the Brandon Rogers video, Darlene is Spiritual. I talked about that again in the earlier stream I did today. You could check that out later. It was... had a lot of road noise, so it might not be one of the easier ones to listen to, but a lot of it was in the graveyard. That I don't remember if that's where I was when I talked about. No, I was on my way to the graveyard. But I was wearing my new sandals and I walked way too much. The 2 hours of walking is too much for a stylish pair of sandals. So, you know, it's hot out, but probably should have worn my tennis shoes.
And Frieza fight at the beginning. I actually rather like the tone set at the beginning here where they feel each other out. However, the moment where Frieza asks Goku if he wants to fight in the air or the ground just screams to me, well, I'm the bad guy and you're the good guy. Guess we're supposed to fight, right? The other is the pure and simple fact that this is so not about Goku that Toriyama can't even keep it straight whether or not the main villain even knows Goku exists. As I said in the last episode, there's an earlier scene between Frieza and Zarbon where they talk about Goku and Gohan, but then during the fight, Frieza appears completely oblivious to the fact that there are Saiyans on Earth. There is no connection between these characters.
I want you to take me to the future.
What a rip.
But Lance, you cry out, Frieza killed Goku's father. Isn't that a personal connection? Well, quite frankly, no, it's not. The reference to Bardock is simply a cameo, integrating a TV special that Toriyama liked. Maybe. It has no bearing on this narrative. And that's not me pulling out some kind of arbitrary "it doesn't count" rule. I mean, you could
Kind of
literally
is.
remove those panels from the manga entirely and never realize anything is missing because it has no consequences on the story. It's just a cute little shout out. But even ignoring that, none of the characters involved ever realize this connection anyway. Oh, I mean, sure, Vegeta tells Goku that Frieza killed all the Saiyans, including Goku's parents. But when Frieza thinks of Bardock, he doesn't know that's Goku's father. Goku doesn't know that Frieza is thinking of Goku's father. The connection between this Saiyan who stood against Frieza and this Saiyan who now stands against Frieza is never made by those involved. It's only the narration that makes this point known to the audience. Even if Goku and Frieza did realize Goku's father had stood against Frieza, what does it matter to Goku? He has no memory of his father. He has no personal connection to him. So even if the story did...
Yeah, but imagine if you grew up never knowing your father, and then someone tells you, "Oh yeah, you know how you never knew your dad? That guy killed him." I don't know. I don't think I'd be very happy with that guy if I heard that. I just to make this personal, actually, because I could really talk about this. Like, my mom did not know who her real father was until he was 82 and she was 60. Or, well, no, 52. He was 80. I think he's 30 years older than her, something like that. Was he 30 when she was born? Maybe not that much. Whatever the case, she was in her fucking 50s. He was in his 80s. But she found out who her... we all live in the same house now. If her mom had ever been willing to divulge all of the men she had ever had relationships with during the time period where my mom was, created, she could have figured this out ages ago. Her mom would never admit the truth. I think if my mom had been any younger than in her 50s when this happened, there's no way she would have ever spoken to her mom again. They still speak now, but the ire is through the roof, and that's at her own mom. Imagine if it was somebody who had killed him. That's why, I think that would be an animosity level dehumanizing,
did try to use Bardock as motivation for Goku, it would be a ridiculously weak link. This isn't the Princess Bride, and Goku is no Inigo Montoya. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not claiming that every hero and every villain have to share a backstory before they even meet in order to create a compelling reason for them to fight. As much as it pains me to say it, the most recent episodes of Dragon Ball Super demonstrate that Goku and Frieza ultimately develop some great chemistry together. What I'm saying is that Goku is so far removed from the entirety of this story that it barely makes sense for him.
Leaf Blady said when he was talking about the tropes that his complaint was specifically that it is a trope that is used better elsewhere and that this is the poorest use of it in the story. I guess it's fair to say something like that. Again, it just feels to me... something about the way that he talks about the flaws in this story is like it is obvious that they're flaws and not that it's like a personal opinion or like something that would just not register with most people. So something like that, I don't see a trope come up in a show and then immediately think, oh, well, this is the same thing they did there, but they did it better that time, unless it's like really egregious. Like Ranma 1/2 has a lot of filler episodes where they basically just did the exact same thing as something that happens in one of the, not filler episodes and just worse. And so in those cases, you do find yourself kind of going, oh, they did tell this joke already once, but it was funny that time and it's not funny now. So I understand that as a criticism, but I don't know. I feel like that's a very personal thing to get bothered by, that it's like not necessarily, it's not going to bother everybody because some people really do just want more of the same, or like slant different. They're not thinking about that it's better or worse. They're just thinking like, oh, it's a different version of that scene. Now I get to see it from two different perspectives, like kind of thing,
Him to be involved at all. The fact that Goku and Frieza are seen as archenemies, in spite of this poor plotting, is a testament to the strengths of this fight and to the characterization.
It's really funny how upset everybody in the chat is about him saying Goku, because it is technically Goku with 2 U's. He's very this dude has, I mean, he's decided on which version of each controversial correct pronunciation he's going to use, but basically whichever one he thinks is most correct. So I'm sure he would tell all of you that you are wrong for trying to correct his Goku, but it does feel like overemphasized, you know, like he's trying too hard to say it correctly.
Of these two men. And while the early bits of Goku versus Frieza spins its wheels,
Like, that was good.
I
That
actually rather
one,
like
that one sounded right when he kind of did it a little bit more, you know, passively into Goku, like not the whole Goku, like ooh, I'm Goku.
despite my complaints about the previous parts being a waste of time, but I do enjoy them feeling each other out, especially given their lack of history with each other. They have no idea what to expect or how to interact with each other. I like that each chapter for a while basically has a standalone motive or task. One chapter has Goku launching Kamehamehas from under.
And yeah, you don't have to show, like, it could be Goku. It doesn't have to be Goku. Goku. That sounds more correct to me. Goku. I don't know how they say it in the show. Do they say it like Goku? I don't think so, right? Goku. Maybe.
Water in order to distract Frieza. Another has Frieza try to get by without using his hands. I mean, yeah, it's a bit fluffy, but we are actually finally in a fight that matters. I can forgive them for taking a few chapters to get serious. And while I feel we don't really get enough time to enjoy Goku's new uniform kanji, I rather like Goku
He hits
fighting
that K
in just
pretty
his
hard.
undershirt. I'm sure Toriyama was having a hard time figuring out ways to rip Goku's clothes in every encounter, and this one is pretty unique. So mixed up in all of this is what appears to be a throwaway couple of panels where Chi-Chi and Gumo wonder what's going on planet Namek. I say they appear to be throwaway, but they're actually the very first time.
Go.
Time we see Goku's adult home. Yes, I kid you not. It's going to get quite a bit more exposure in the Cell and Buu arcs, but this is the first time it shows up in the story. It goes to show just how on the move the story has been for a while that there's been no opportunity until now to see where the Son family lives. Goku has managed to do pretty well. He's certainly not possessing the upper hand, but he's staying afloat. But then Frieza drops the bombshell. If he uses only 50% of his power, he should be able to take out Goku. Oh yay, Frieza gets to play tennis again. Admittedly, I feel this would carry more weight if we hadn't already gone through so
Tennis
many
is
iterations of this. I mean,
Hey.
seriously?
Tennis is red?
I said,
Tennessee's red.
no, tennis is rad. I said, he was like, oh boy, Frieza gets to play tennis again. And I was like, I'll watch him play tennis. They got whole animes about tennis.
Frieza's a guy?
Yeah. He's got a woman's voice, but
Huh.
he's a dude. I
I'd
think he's got a
assumed-
woman's voice.
I'd
Actually, I'm not
assumed
sure.
Frieza was a woman and Cooler was a dude. Cooler's Frieza's brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Frieza's just he's like, you know, gay is bad, so therefore make him sound really gay. Like Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah. You know.
Oh. Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm
Who's
live
that?
streaming.
What's up?
She wanted to come hang out in the garage.
Oh.
Well,
I'm smoking a pork tenderloin.
nice. I knew you were gonna smoke it. I said he'll probably do some crazy shit like smoke it.
It's not crazy.
It's epic. He'll do some epic shit like smoking.
I'm just happy I figured out how to smoke with that tiny little grill. We need to bring that with us, by the way,
Yes.
when we leave. Yeah, let's just come and say hi. Hello. How's the bullying?
I'm a bully.
Do you know where the meat thermometer is?
Probably in the car,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Well, never mind.
Headbutt.
Headbutt.
You ended up wearing the shirt that I almost wore. Why have we both foolishly put on big graphic shirts that are just going to collect sweat all over?
This is the first shirt
It's
I
such
found.
a hot day. Same
I'm
here.
wearing pajama pants. Like
You're
I'm-
literally wearing the clothes that I was going to wear, and then I went, actually, it's too hot, and then I took those off and put these
I'm
clothes on.
mostly inside. Like I'm just popping in and out of the outside.
That's true. It is it's like 30 degrees colder indoors than it is outdoors in this house right now.
I mean, it's. I don't. Last week I was driving home from work, and my car said it was 100 degrees. I had my air conditioning set to 80, and then the air still felt cold. And like I've been in hot temperatures and had it set to 80 just because that's what it was set on in the morning, and thought like, wow, this is hot. But I was fucking flipping shit that it was so cold.
Okay, so here's the conversation surrounding Frieza's gender. Lapusha, Frieza is not a guy. Ilios, aren't they asexual or genderless? Lapusha,
just
Frieza's
gender,
gender is
gender.
never confirmed. PJ Doherty says Frieza used to be voiced by a woman, so it's understandable mistake. He's alien but kind of gay. Frieza is a menace, and that's enough, says Amy. Slandon's still making fun of the way this guy says Goku. PJ Doherty says, I assumed Frieza was an evil space grandma. Leaf Lady says, pretty sure
Yeah,
King
no,
Cold
that's-
calls him
the-
his son specifically. And Frieza also refers to
evil
King Cold as
space
Papa.
grandma thing is kind of what I felt with Frieza, or like maybe not grandma, aunt, evil space aunt.
Yeah. He's like one of he's like Marge
Simpson?
or like combined with one of her sisters.
I had a coworker tell me today.
Or aunts,
Okay, so
whatever they
I'm
are.
just gonna say to you what my coworker said to me today. So you know how like the Simpsons, they've been, and I cut him off because I was like, oh, they can predict the future, because I
Yeah.
kind of figured where he was going with that. He was like, yeah, but they found like they apparently found someone that looks like Marge Simpson, but like way dead, like
I see.
fossilized dead. I don't know anything.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
I didn't hear about this.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, so they're predicting the past too. It was just like such a
Okay.
random thing to hear.
Simpsons predicted the past that would be discovered.
Yeah.
Predicting what we would learn about
Matt
the
Groening is
past.
actually Rick from Rick and Morty.
Oh shit, that would make sense. That would be why he was on Epstein's island, is because he was actually doing ops to
You know, it's oh god.
Well, partying is what I'm afraid he was
Well,
doing
no,
on
no, no.
Epstein's island.
It's like the have you heard the Frank Reynolds excuse?
No.
You know who Frank Reynolds is?
No.
Okay. Danny DeVito's character in Always Sunny.
Okay, yeah.
It is confirmed by Frank Reynolds that Frank Reynolds was on Epstein Island at some
Okay,
point.
the character was on Epstein's island.
But I didn't know there was all that stuff happening. I was just at a party or something like that. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one. Space Aunt, perfect. In the BRW, he had a deep, manly voice. King Cold doesn't show up till Toonami showed the Frieza saga 100 times, so I thought Frieza was a chick the first 3 dozen times I watched the Frieza saga, says Crim Cole. Yeah, I had always thought, maybe I just, because like people talked to me about Dragon Ball Z more so before I saw it. Like all the guys I knew in elementary school were fans of it. So
How long are you doing this?
I don't know. Until 5 o'clock or 5:30. Tell her I'll be done in like less than half an hour, probably. I know. She was like passed out on the couch and complaining about how hot it is out here, so I just thought I would have a chance. Anyway. Yeah, I think I had, because people had told me so much about Dragon Ball, I think I had just heard Frieza referred to as a guy before probably even seeing the show. And so never would have even thought about the possibility that it was a woman. I always thought it was funny with
He's just talking to the live stream.
like
Inuyasha, when I was growing up, was like famous for like everyone you would show the characters to would be like, is that a guy or a girl? Oh, you like all those girls on Inuyasha? It's like those are boys, mom. Those are all boys. I know that Naraku wears makeup and Sashomaru's got like eyeshadow on, but they're not even gay. Although they're both probably pedophiles in that case. But you know, Inuyasha's a weird show.
Lighter.
I watched the Saiyan Saga originally on a local access channel alongside Samurai Pizza Cats. That sounds right. What the 90s were in era. I know I watched Samurai Pizza Cats a couple times as a kid, but I don't remember like intaking any of the information. I think it's the kind of thing where like I don't know if it was story driven or not, but like whatever episodes I caught definitely didn't explain the premise and I did not understand it. So the couple episodes I saw, I was just like, well, this looks cool. I don't know what the fuck these characters are, who they are, what's going on, you know? And then I don't think it was on TV for long enough, or at least I didn't know about it for long enough before it was off the air. Maybe I just didn't know what channel it was on. That was something I struggled with a lot as a kid. I pretty much would just watch Cartoon Network all day long because guaranteed there were going to be cartoons. I always thought of Nickelodeon as basically like a trader channel because 6 o'clock rolls around and it plays a bunch of live action shit that I couldn't relate to and didn't want to see. So I would just watch Cartoon Network round the clock. It's the only way you're guaranteed watching new cartoon. You know, eventually we had Boomerang, but that was all old shit, and I didn't. Most of the stuff that was on Boomerang, I had already gotten sick of seeing on Cartoon Network before they sequestered it all off to Boomerang. So I was just like, oh, cool. That's for shit I'm already tired of, you know, rather than it being like a nostalgia thing for me. I was still a child. And the funny thing is they've always kept it like just kind of 10 years ago's shows. They've never made it. They didn't keep it like just being 50s cartoons. There's probably ways to like find a channel like that or something, but it's always like whatever is 10 years old, you know, at the time. That one, Lucario Anime Review says to do the, oh yeah, we got to do Furry Pride Part 2. We'll do that after we finish this video.
He's transformed 3 times and he still isn't using half of his power. But ignoring all of that, this works very well. I love the panel composition, showing Goku and Frieza facing off once again, only for Goku to realize at the last possible moment that Frieza isn't bluffing. Just in the layout, real tension is cultivated, and Goku feels more like a real...
My mom does not need to use the room. It's fucking hot out here. She's just, all her weed stuff was out here, so she had to have Bird come collect it all for her to bring it all out to the backyard to hang out there, which is a much more pleasant place to be smoking right now. She should not be hanging out in this fucking hot, dim garage.
Character than everyone's savior. But back on Kaio's world, Ten Shinhan assures the others it'll be okay because Goku still has the Kaioken to fall back on. Oh yeah, once Goku starts fighting, the story begins cutting back to the dead characters so Kaio can provide exposition on the fight. You know, despite the fact that Piccolo is explaining the fight to Gohan and Krillin and fulfilling the same role. Why am I complaining? At least they get something to do.
Why are you
Kaio
complaining?
reveals that Goku has already been using the Kaioken times 10.
Why did you decide to dedicate years of your life to complaining about a beloved manga? That is a question I've got on my mind. Is it just to like be the niche of like I don't know, like somebody had to acknowledge all these things because it gets complained about so much? Man, I just plugged that in. Well, rip. I know, and I forgot to plug it in all this time. I'm a fool. Whatever. I took my phone charge break. Nickelodeon shows were generally too gross for you. Yeah, I felt that way too. I mean, Cartoon Network had a lot of gross shows too, because they had like Cow and Chicken and fucking that was probably the closest thing to being like Nickelodeon gross. I had liked Ren and Stimpy as a little kid, but a lot of the stuff that came after it, yeah, most of it was like too gross or just kind of weird looking to me. Like it wasn't trying to be stylistically attractive in the way that the Cartoon Network shows usually more so were, you know, borrowing more from like the Hanna-Barbera, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce their names. the two guys with ladies' names that combined their names to make the fucking animation studio. Yeah, Ed and Eddie probably falls under gross too. It's very like pastel looking though. Like the colors aren't as harsh as something like even like Rocket Power. Like that show was supposed to look cool, but like its aesthetic was kind of grungy in a way, you know, that like even though Ed, Edd n Eddy I think is grosser in terms of like what it's showing, weirdly it was softer in the actual visuals because it had that whole like kind of painted fading to white background effect. Anyway, I liked both of those shows as a kid, but I didn't play sports, so Rocket Power was kind of like, yeah, fuck the Shoobies, I guess. I live in Virginia Beach, 15 minutes from the beach. Anyway, let's continue this.
To no avail. I assume this is Toriyama attempting a surprise reveal. The benefit of a black and white manga is that when Toriyama briefly draws Goku with an aura a couple of pages earlier, it's impossible to tell what kind of aura it is, if it's the distinctive red Kaioken aura or just a regular aura. The recently released full-color manga really has no choice and has to color it red, giving away the surprise that Goku is even more screwed than we thought. The anime preserved the surprise by doing this weird thing where they give Goku a special aura that only becomes visible after Kaio mentions he's been using it. Goku beefs up to a Kaioken times 20 to prove that Frieza's not the only one who can shout out higher and higher numbers, but it still does no good. The fact of the matter is that Frieza is just not an opponent Goku can beat in hand-to-hand combat. So he pulls out his trump card, the Genki Dama. However,
Genki
Krillin
Dama.
notices that this one isn't the size of a beach ball, but the size of a house. And fortunately,
So is it literally called like I know I guess Genki can mean spirit, but like the implication is different, you know? Like Genki is like upbeat, like uplifting, like it's literally a bomb of positive energy. Like when I think of the Yu Yu Hakusho opening song Smile Bomb, like that's practically what a Genki bomb is, right? It's like they were saying, hey, this is Dragon Ball.
rather than staying in Goku's hand, it stays about a mile up in the air so Frieza doesn't notice. How convenient! While Frieza is impatient with Goku and knocks him around a bit for cryptically holding up his arms, he doesn't notice what Goku is doing. When Vegeta hit Goku, Goku complained it scattered most of the Genki Dama energy he built up. I guess it's good it doesn't do that here. I mean, it's all...
This is a good point from Lucario fan. I feel like the well-adjusted and genuinely funny people like Craig McCracken, who did Powerpuff, and Tartakovsky, who were the creators who defined Cartoon Network, is why their shows are more appealing. I would agree with that. I mean, I definitely loved Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls as a kid. I also loved Ed, Edd n Eddy. That was actually probably my favorite cartoon show when I was growing up because me and my two brothers were like Ed, Edd n Eddy, you know, to paraphrase a JID lyric. But we lived in a cul-de-sac during like 4 years of my childhood when that show was like really heavily on rotation. So it felt like, oh, this is the show about us. You know, it was the closest thing I had to representation in a cartoon. It's like three freaks in a cul-de-sac, you know, trying to figure out how they're going to make everybody else give them money. There's something I said, I think it was on the live stream where I was at Vic's house where I was like describing my career and he was like, you're just Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy, like trying to get that jawbreaker and fucking finding a way to fail every day. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. It's all about the chase though. It's about the, you know, desire is the mother of invention. Okay, I can't keep reading the chat.
Also good that it's already in the form of a ball when before it had to be completed before it became a ball, and in the times before that when it wasn't a ball at all. I guess Goku managed to do a lot of training with it since then.
Yeah.
In the spaceship, where there are no life forms.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know. Is it just me or is this attack not very consistent in how it works?
Well,
speaking of things...
I mean, the way everybody powers up in this series is literally they just like rise to the occasion. You know, it's a manga about like if your willpower is stronger, you will find a way to just get stronger. Your mind will unlock the answer through force of sheer will of being pushed to your limits, you know?
Things that don't make sense, Frieza finally spots the reflection of the Genki Dama in a body of water and is about to put an end to things, so Piccolo tells Gohan and Krillin to give him their ki so he can stage a counterattack against Frieza. That's something you can do, huh? It's just like plugging in a USB between two computers. Boy, I can think of plenty of other times that would have come in handy. I mean, that almost sounds like an extension of the principles behind the Genki Dama,
Maybe they didn't know they could do it yet.
but that can't be right because Piccolo just got done complaining that Kaio never even mentioned it to him. At any rate,
Yeah,
Piccolo
exactly.
uses this.
He's complaining that Kaio never mentioned it to him because this happens all the time, right? I feel like it's easy to forget that no one else has the information you have, and you can have. As much as I live stream and talk about everything, I know I cannot even give a fraction of the information that I make my decisions based on to you, especially not in a way you can understand. I have to imagine it's not easy to make someone get the principles of these types of magic. And so you're probably not even thinking about explaining it to someone until they've already like pretty much progressed pretty far into understanding how to use it, you know? And then you're like, oh shit, by the way. So I noticed you've been using this magic I taught you. Actually, there's more.
Ki transferred at 1.2 megabytes per second to kick Frieza in the head, giving Goku a bit more time to gather Genki for his attack. But will it be enough? I know what you're all waiting for, and it's not this big energy ball. So I'm excited to announce that next time, Goku will finally become a Super Saiyan. In the animated feature film, Super Saiyan Son Goku. Why waste this whole Super Saiyan thing on Frieza when he can use it on some guy we never met named Slug? Do I know what you guys want or what?
You do seem to know what your audience wants, but I'm confused about it. Like, I don't know if the point of this is to have like controversial takes. This video has 72,000 views, which is a lot. It's a very good view count for it doesn't have a ton of subscribers, and it doesn't look like he's maintained these view counts. So is that like one of the more popular videos or what? Like, do Dragon Ball fans generally just agree with these issues, or is he like the unpopular opinion haver, or like it? Because it feels to me like he's gone at DBZ with the intent of being like, I'm going to point out every single flaw in this manga, you know? And like, I don't know, I guess it's a vibe. Obviously there's an audience for that. And it's maybe the kind of thing that I could see if I was deeper into DBZ fandom. Like if I already had seen all the videos praising it, like if I've already watched somebody do a series or they go through the whole manga and just fucking ball wash every chapter, I probably would be happy to have somebody go through and like bitch about it afterwards, I guess. But I don't know, like for me as somebody who's not as deeply invested into Dragon Ball, it more feels like, well, you're making all these complaints, but do these things really matter? Like, who really cares? You know, is this the stuff that Dragon Ball fans are thinking about? I don't know. He's pretty unpopular among the general Dragon Ball fan base. Yeah, that's what I would expect. He also points out everything good about it too, you say, but I don't know if I agree with that, because in that chapter, he didn't really point out anything good about it. He pretty much mostly complained, and like he tried to be fair in a sense of saying like, okay, well, you know, this Vegeta stuff is I don't know, he mostly complained. Yeah, he really didn't have much positive to say about that chapter. And most of the complaints he made were just things that didn't register to me as problems necessarily. Like if I was describing what happened in that chapter just on the face of it, I would not take it as like a negative. Like I wouldn't have taken that as like a bad chapter or thought that it was representative of like flaws in Dragon Ball necessarily. You know, I would have just been like, yeah, so this is the one where Vegeta gets killed, you know, like there's a lot to criticize about Dragon Ball Z, but I feel like getting into the nitpicks of it misses, like when I was talking about how, you know, they're making a chapter 20 pages a week, like you have to talk about it in that context for it to really resonate with me. Like you can't talk about it like this is something that someone had the opportunity to slavishly go back through and correct all the mistakes like Hayao Miyazaki. Like Hayao Miyazaki is a god of his medium and has been recognized as such since he started drawing. And even then, he had to fight for more than a decade, for probably 2 decades, to get to a level where he had the kind of money, you know, and the kind of like prestige that he can spend 5 years rechecking every fucking frame of Spirited Away or whatever, you know, like, but it took getting there. And Toriyama just wasn't even in that industry. He's not in the industry of making slavishly realized film. He's in the industry of putting out 20 fucking pages every week and figuring out how that is entertaining enough that people keep buying a magazine, you know, like, so the whole mentality of the manga, of like how it's created, to me is being ignored if you approach it in a way where you're, again, it's like kind of fun trivia when you talk about the stuff at the beginning where he's like, and his pants are torn on this page and not on this one, you know, and like being a little bit pithy about it. That's fine when you keep it cute, but like when you're really upset about like these minor plot holes that don't really affect the story, it's like, well, yeah, but what about the big picture of all the what this is building to in the grand narrative, you know? Why are you fixated on all these tiny details? It just seems like the wrong approach to enjoying something, you know, it feels weird to spend so much time and dedication to a series that you are going to talk about like you think it kind of mostly sucks, you know? When you don't have to talk about it that way. Or if you do think it's not that great, to obsess about it to such an extent. But, you know, I don't know. Every critic that's not me, I struggle to understand them. And every critic that's not me struggles to understand me. So I'm not surprised when other people's approach to their content kind of leaves me a little bit dumbfounded. But there are definitely, like, there are brand identities that I can see and I go, oh, that's a really like the way I think like Hazel as a YouTuber has a really powerful kind of identity, because even though everything she talks about is different, it all fits into the same category of a type of person would be into this and would approach being into this way. And so everybody who relates to being that type of person, like an investigative type of a person, like somebody who gets obsessively investigative about something as soon as they become interested in it, that is who Hazel represents. And so like whether it's a positive video, a negative, whatever she's saying, we understand that it's going to be like Hazel style. So with this guy, like what he's presenting is like, I'm the Dragon Ball manga nitpicker. And it's like, well, does anybody want that though? Like, is that a thing that we were looking for, that like the Dragon Ball community wanted? I don't know. You know, it certainly got him plenty of views for a time. So I don't think it was like the wrong thing to do from a YouTuber perspective, but I understand why it would not engender love from the community, especially if he continues doing it in the same style and like people are rejecting that, you know, but he keeps doing it. Well, yeah, I've gone down this road. I know how that works. Yeah, it doesn't. All right. We're going to quickly go through That One Lucario's part 2 of Furry Pride. So let me go find the link real quick. Wonderful. Okay. Let me make this big. Alrighty. This is going to be clipped and edited. It will be both on this channel and on that, or no, it'll be on the We Watch Anime channel and on That One Lucario Fans channel. This is written entirely by That One Lucario fan. I'm just presenting it for you all, but they created a furry anime you should watch for Pride Month, and then I guess a lot of people said, "Hey, you forgot this." So we're gonna go in on all of what was missed. All right, this is Trixie's Furry Pride Anime Part 2. We start with Log Horizon, the image from Bee's Log, a Japanese magazine. Every time I see official art with heavy Nyanta focus, it makes my heart fill with warmth. That's right, Nyanta is a big time. There's a huge furry romance between Nyanta, who is as much of a furry as he possibly could be, because he was clearly a furry human, and now that he has become his character in game, he is living his best life in a way nobody else could ever comprehend. He actually got to become a furry and a scholar. Now, why is it furry? The most prominent furry character in the cast of Log Horizon is Nyanta. He is a felinoid, which is felinoid, which is one of the races in the game world that this show is set in, called Eldertale. It's funny how close it is to Elden Ring. In the real world, Nyanta was a human, but when him and the rest of his friends get trapped inside of the world of Eldertale, he is one of the first to accept his new living situation, as he actually feels happy now that his body is that of a cat. Here's him hanging out with other cats in a cat, cat nap place. Prior to joining the guild, the rest of his friends had formed. Nyanta was in a guild known as Cat Food. The members of this guild all enjoyed playing into their animal instincts, which means that Nyanta and many of the other felinoids were all lounging around in the ways that a cat would. Why is it Pride? As previously mentioned, the most prominent furry character of Log Horizon is Nyanta. Trixie once suggested in her Log Horizon analysis her theory that Nyanta is a hardcore furry role player, which is why when he became trapped in the game and in the form of his cat avatar, he felt so comfortable. I utterly adore this analysis of Nyanta. I honestly don't even think that's like subtext. I think that is just the text of the story. And I believe it has great potential as a part of the LGBT community as well. In other words, I believe Nyanta becoming more comfortable starting a new life as an anthro cat in the game world could be like a metaphor for overcoming body dysmorphia, as he felt happy and finally comfortable as an anthro cat. If we take this analysis as true, then that makes the fact that Serara and the others accept him as his true self and even admire him to be really beautiful. I'm wondering if you've seen all of Log Horizon, because you didn't even mention there's also a trans girl in this game who was, a assigned male at birth human who ended up in a female body in the game. And even though, so we've got Akatsuki, one of the main characters, she was playing as a guy, but for her it was a role play. So she felt uncomfortable in her male form, and in the first episode transforms into something that resembles her real body so that she doesn't have the body dysmorphia. Everybody in this story gets body dysmorphia because they all become their in-game characters, and it takes them a while to like adjust to being that. But the more they embody it, the more they're able to use their abilities. So like Shiroi, for instance, was not as tall in real life as he is in the game. So he has to adjust to being like a few inches, taller. But the one girl, I can't even fucking remember her name, the trans girl, she's just a girl now. She's cis in this universe because she has always had this girl body as far as this world is concerned. But yeah, another character who's very happy about the fact that they all got trapped in the game and had that opportunity. And yeah, again, they're rare, but there are body modification magics that you could use to undo being this way. So everybody who is staying that way is probably doing it on purpose. It's a bunch of geeks who got to be their avatars, literally. So most of them are pretty happy about it. But yeah, there's furries, there's trans characters, there's gay characters. Actually, she's right here, the trans girl in the background. I think that's her. Anyway. I'll check the chat real quick because I'm sure that one Lucario fan has answered to the question of how much did you watch of this show. I guess that'll be easier to do on here. Good point. I forgot about the trans girl. I only saw season 1, not 2 or 3. Yeah, okay, I figured because she comes up way more in season 2. All right. Fabulous Beasts. Fabulous Beasts is a Chinese anime, just like Lu Xiaohei, cute Chinese anime about cats, which we watched together on Trixie Streams. Also very similar to that show, Fabulous Beasts follows a group of mythical animals who come in many shapes and sizes. The main character is a dragon-like animal called Tianlu. He moves in one day with his old friend Sibushang. This series is largely about interacting with mythical creatures with occasional action scenes. Tony from Fabulous Beasts is the most well-known LGBT character of the cast. He's pansexual, which is shown by his interactions with the male Sibushang and maybe you spelled it wrong here, Subushang, which are extremely obviously meant to be flirting, and he likes ladies. Hugto Precure. Buckle in, there's a lot to cover with this one. Hugto Precure is a season of Precure that was directed by Junichi Sato and Akifumi Zako. Notable for several things, such as it being Sato's only season, this season pioneered a lot of things which changed the Precure franchise forever. The basic plot is that Hana, the pink girl, ends up having to become a Precure because a character named George Kurai is attempting to stop the flow of time. It seems George has some kind of connection to Hana, and there is some event in the future he's attempting to prevent. The love for Yes Precure 5 is utterly apparent in Hugto Precure, as this season introduced a cute animal mascot named Harry Ham Harry. Oh my god, he's a cute little hamster. Oh, I love him. Who, while normally looking like a cute animal fairy, also has a human form, which surprises the girls due to how handsome he is. One of the main Precure, named Homare, falls in love with Harry, but he does not reciprocate her feelings. He puts her down gently in a very kind-hearted rejection, which gave me vibes of Sato's other show, Magic Users Club, where a male character rejected a female who would confess to him when she knew he was gay. YouTube version of this fuck-ass gif. Okay. There are other notable LGBT characters in Hugto Precure as well, such as Emiru and Ruru, who are two of the main Precure. The two interact during the main season in ways that could be interpreted as Yuri, but this couple does not become canon due to the fact that Ruru is actually from the future, and when the plot is resolved and things do go back to normal, she has to leave. The final LGBT character is Henry. Henry is a gender-fluid character who is introduced as a figure skater, and the show refers to them with male pronouns, but they really enjoy dressing as both male and female. Henry is often described by the fandom as the first character who is not strictly female to become a Precure, but that would be excluding Tart, a mascot from Fresh, who technically was the first non-female Precure, among several other non-females who became Precure before Henry. The character Masato, Emiru's older brother, also seems to develop a crush on Henry, and the two are close. Cute. They're holding hands and shit. Yeah, I remember hearing about that Precure. It sounds good. Monotone Blue, Girl from the Other Side, and Wise Wise Beasts. Monotone Blue is a manga following the gay relationship between a cat and a lizard. This series was sad. Oh man, I just realized that The Great Snake's Bride could probably qualify as. It's about a girl who gets betrothed to a giant snake in the mountains in feudal Japan. And it ends up being like a cute romance about her overcoming her innate fear of a giant snake to end up fucking the snake by the end of like volume 2 or something. Haven't finished it, but I did talk about it on Manga Monday. Anyway, this series was sadly not yet adapted to anime, fingers crossed, but the author Nagabe has had one of their series get adapted to anime, which is called The Girl from the Other Side. It does not have LGBT characters as far as I've read. In a double interview that Crunchyroll held between Nagabe and Ancient Magus Bride's author, they both stated that the reason they enjoy making so many stories about interspecies couples, whether it be human x a skull-headed monster or a lizard and a cat, is because they feel a desire to represent alternative relationships. Nagabe's Monotone Blue is the most critically acclaimed gay story that they have done. However, they did also create a one-shot manga known as Wise Wise Beasts. Wise Wise Beasts is a gay romance manga set in a school mostly attended by anthro animals, but there are also a few humans. The story is told in vignette style as it switches focus between many different gay couples in a fashion that can be considered like a male gay version of Yuri manga like Kindred Spirits on the Roof. Well, cool. I'll probably read this for a Manga Monday in the future. Working Buddies. Working Buddy. I've actually seen some of this. This show's cute. Working Buddies is a 2-season anime from 2018, which follows a duo of anthropomorphic cats named Tapio and Kuehiko, who are working together in many different jobs. The two have a lovely dynamic, as Tapio is generally upbeat and energetic, while Kuehiko is more deadpan. Their friends and coworkers are also all anthro animals as well. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that the two mains are gay, as there was even a male bison who tried flirting with Kuehiko once, but generally the two cats seem to have a bond that could best be described as partners for life. The mains are very close in canon and fan art, as commenter Nyagast mentioned on part 1. Nice. Crediting to the commenter who pointed this stuff out. Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Sacrificial Princess can be more easily described as like a furrier version of Ancient Magus Bride, with a furry kingdom setting instead of the London countryside of Magus Bride. Actually, let me make sure that this stream is still all functional and shit before I just keep going on ranting. Okay. Sorry that makes you have to edit more, but whatever. This comparison is sure to upset fans of both series, so I try not to make it, but it's the easiest description. Both shows are about a young girl, human girl who is about to be enslaved / is a sacrifice, but is saved by a protective beast man. However, Sacrificial Princess takes place in a kingdom of different anthro animals, unlike Magus Bride, which is mostly humans except for the goat-headed Magus Bride himself. You mean Magus himself. The main ship of Sacrificial Princess is the straight ship of Sarifi, the former sacrifice turned princess of the beast, and Leonhardt, the beast king. However, while they are a straight ship, the way they face persecution for their species' difference in their relationship feels very much like it might be relatable to those who have faced discrimination for their own relationships. There is, however, a prominent gay ship among the side characters, and there is a white anthropomorphic wolf named Fenrir and a black wolf who is a major antagonist named Glepnir. The two have vibes reminiscent of the gay villain couple from Sailor Moon. Interesting. Stitch, the Madhouse Stitch anime. I didn't know this had gay furry stuff in it. This one is a late addition. You meant addition, not edition. This one is a late addition, but I discovered it thanks to Twitter last week, and I just had to include it because it caught me so off guard. Okay, so after the huge success of the 2002 Disney movie Lilo and Stitch, as well as the Disney Channel TV series for it, the company began to notice that Stitch as a character was popular worldwide, especially in China and Japan, which led to the creation of a Chinese animated series called Stitch and I. Oh, so there's another one besides the Madhouse anime, which was mostly a standard kids cartoon animated in Flash, but has a few interesting ideas like making Stitch more of a Lovecraftian monster. And last but not least, in 2008, there was a Japanese anime series simply titled Stitch. It was animated by Madhouse. If you're wondering why I'm bringing any of this up at a furry anime discussion, when this just seems like any other kids show, well, there's a side character in the Stitch anime, a human girl who is really interested in Stitch, a lot more than you would expect. There's an interesting scene from the TV anime. I'm not going to play that because I don't want to get flagged. If I had a nickel for every kids show which involved a human falling in love with a mascot, I'd have 2 nickels, or 20 if we include Precure. In terms of LGBT characters in the Stitch anime, there's not really any that I could think of, but hey, I guess there is Pleekily, since he does appear in the anime as he does in most entries of the series. And there he is. I don't even remember that fucking character at all, honestly. I loved Lilo and Stitch, the movie, but it's been a long time. Special bonus, in celebration of this video and all of you have done for the furry community, I also made a short animation, which I wanted to share with you now. Oh. All right, well, let's watch this short animation. Short, this shit's 47 seconds long. For animation that's long.
Before I begin this video, I just wanted to remind you, go up and turn on the subtitles for English because this video is delivered in Japanese. My translation and pronunciation are definitely very bad, so you'll want to have subtitles on. Thanks.
ハグしたいここ。
Oh.
頑張るここ。
Hey.
自分を信じてここ。私に任せてここ。
is privy to a number of
No, you won't. You can watch his Jay Summerton videos.
oddities outside of the premise of dueling
Why
in
do
the
we
upside down.
never-
Otono no Precure. Furry
Yo,
couples
Coco.
explained from left to right. Karen, the blue girl.
おやすみ恋人ここ。大好き。
That was fucking adorable. That was great. That was unlisted. Oh, well, I guess it's only right here on the stream, folks, or if you go to the link that's there. That was fucking great. Thank you. That one, Lucario fan. Very, very, very clean. I'm supposed to be bullying on this stream. You can't just like go and hit me with some sentimental, sincere fucking niceness like that. Also, your Japanese pronunciation was not that bad. And I thought your voice was adorable, if that was you. Not that I can really speak about Japanese pronunciation or anything, but it sounded like you at least looked up how to say each thing you were saying and then tried to say it like that. Okay, I can't do any more bullying. I have to change the stream. We're going to have to, the office is probably available to me now. So also, if you can get me to read something on the next one, I'm going to end this stream. I'll come back in like half an hour, probably. Assuming nobody's doing anything today, because all of y'all are always here, so I know y'all ain't doing nothing else. Go get some food while I'm gone. Bully, 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 bully. Okay, let's get out of here. This garage is too hot.